Welcome back, everyone. I'm Carrington-Russell, Australian award-winning author of kick-butt heroines in dark, steamy fantasy worlds, and I have a very special guest for you today. We are talking to self-made millionaire and 15 times USA best-selling author, where today we'll be talking about her new release, Right to Riches, where we're going to be talking all about abundance mindset and how you can catapult your author career to the next level. We are talking to the one and only Renee Rose. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I am so excited to have you on because we've had you here before and you were such an amazing person to have on. You have so much information and love to give. And it's very interesting seeing your progress then because it's been a little bit over a year since then. And when we were talking last time, you already had such great ideas and things that you wanted to go forward with when it came to abundance mindset and manifesting things. And you were, I don't want to say a little bit scared, but nervous because you had to work on your own blockages then. And here we are a year later, and you're only a couple days off releasing this new book on the 11th of October. And I am so proud of you. And I would like to know what has happened in this last year. How has this journey looked for you and why you wanted to do this?
Thank you so much. Um it has been a journey for sure because I continue to have to chip away at the I'm not worthy to, who am I thinking I have something to share with anybody, or who, I just spoke at NINC, and the whole morning before I spoke, I was like, okay, that's a lie. Don't believe. But the voice in my head was like, you're not worthy. You don't deserve to be here. Like the whole these blocks that we all have that I'm very aware of now that I've written the book about clearing your blocks. So that makes it easy. So then I'm like, okay, that's a lie. Don't have to believe that, just clear, clear, clear. But they come up all the time. They try to stop us.
It just goes to show that it's a not one-time fixes. This is a constant growth concept. And you and I have discussed this before. I'm huge for manifestation. I love it. I'm a total hippie. How you can actually apply that to your business and into your authorship as well, because I think a lot of us unknowingly have a lot of these blockages rising and we never understand how we can't get to the next tier or how we might unconsciously be setting ourselves back. So I love that you've just exemplified that you have to constantly work on it, that they're still going to pop up, but you just find better ways to understand them and then deal with them on the spot. So that's amazing. What were some of the conversations that you had to have with yourself to overcome some of the common blockages for you that really helped you?
I love to bring the discussion of energy into the business world. And I think that's a lot of what I was trying to do in my book is because there's people like you and I who believe in manifestation and energy work, but then you go to your business and everyone's talking about the same stuff, right? It's like the concrete stuff because we're looking to our other peers in the business world for the answers when in fact, when you bring energy into the conversation, it can really illuminate where that idea does or doesn't work for us. So then you can sift through all these ideas that are out there and figure out what's for you and what's to discard. And it can just bring the ease to everything. There's, because sometimes you're just trying to ram into the wall, and you could have walked through the door.
Yeah.
It can be that way.
Yeah. And I think the biggest one there is self-doubt as well, not having the confidence in ourselves or making the right decision, which we'll discuss. I'm certain we'll discuss that coming through the interview. But I would first like to talk about Right to Riches. How did you find writing that book and why did you want to write this book in the first place?
Yeah, so for me, it feels like that culmination of my two sides. So I had my woo-woo side, and I've been an energy worker for, many years. I've been into manifestation forever. And then I had my writer side. And so a few years ago, Sky Warren invited me to to do a roundtable on abundance mindset at RAM. And I was so excited because I felt like I could finally blend these two worlds. So my book is a lot about just if you're already super into manifestation, it might not be anything new, but it's me applying it to being an author. So I think that's if you're an author and you're into manifestation, it's useful just to hear someone else's stories. And there's a bunch of case studies in there of other people who have applied it and how it worked for them. And so I think that can be really it's both inspiring and it can be grounding. Like when you have someone's story to remember, you can be like, oh yeah, this is like Renee said, where she tripped herself up and I don't want to do that. So like you remember the stories and then you can figure out like if you're doing something similar that maybe you don't want to do or
Yeah, that it's relevant as well because I think, as I said, I'm huge into manifestation, but it is very tricky to apply it into business. Like my personal life, yes, but then as soon as you try and bring it across, there is a kind of already wall because you've had to separate personal and business very much. So it's hard to sort of integrate that belief as well into it. So I am very excited to, I've already pre-ordered my audiobook, but I'm very excited to see how you've step by step because you also run a Facebook group as well. Abundance Author Mindset, isn't it?
Author Abundance Central.
Author Abundance.
I've renamed it several times, so it's
Okay,
not. I think it was originally that. Yeah, I was just
perfect.
trying to get it to match my website. So
Yeah, amazing. And so with that as well, and I've been in there for years now, ever since we spoke last time, and I've absolutely loved that environment and that platform and that group that you've created because you have a lot of these discussions as well. So I'm super excited to see how you've been able to narrow that down into a book as well. What would you say then some of the most common obstacles or blockages authors have that they may not realize, but as soon as you say it, we're going to go, yeah, no, I do that.
the I'm not worthy or like I don't belong here. Like so that like maybe you're playing with this group of authors who are beginners, but you're really not a beginner anymore, but you're still playing in that group. And it's time to like, but you don't believe you belong in this other group. Right. So it's like we stop ourselves. We think like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I have, there's a place for me at the table with the New York Times bestsellers,
Yeah.
or I don't know, so it's like believing that you are worthy of sitting there at the table and joining them and, or you're worthy of reaching out to influencers on TikTok and inviting them to read your book or, whatever those things that stop you are.
I would love to know what some of your biggest like manifestations have been, something that you thought, okay, I really this is what I want, and you went for it and you were able to acquire it.
I think a lot of the times they're the ones where things just like things just magically happen. Like I wasn't even trying and I can see how the it's like a lot of times we make this request to the universe, but then we're so busy trying to control that it has nowhere to come in. That's the receiving piece of manifesting, right? And so it'll like anytime it can slip in, it'll slip in, right? So then there's those times where you're like, oh, I realize, like everything just like conspired to come together. Like I had this idea in my head. I wanted to write like a teen werewolf book. And then I heard that like suddenly bully romance was big. So I put the two together and it was like this huge bestseller that just like, it was just so easy. Like when energy's aligned, it's super easy.
Yeah.
And that's like the universe trying to gift you what you're here to receive,
Do you do, out of curiosity, when you're writing, because primarily you write romance subgenres, do you have any particular sort of writing, I want to say, like routine? Like, is there any before you sit down and write down, you put intention down, or is there anything like that you do around your everyday writing?
I would love to tell you, oh yes, every morning. I'm just like not a structured person, but when I get stuck, I use free writing, like journaling, especially like first thing in the morning when your mind is still really fertile, your subconscious is still kind of there. So I'll ask questions. I'll be like, okay, why am I stuck in this manuscript or what's supposed to happen next? And then it'll suddenly become like super clear. Or like I'll just ask the question and then I'll go take the shower. And of course, those are the times like showering or driving, like when you get in the zone and the like downloads can come in. And I've just learned to like trust my gut on those things. So when they come in, I'm like, okay, that was a download. That's not me like trying to like figure it out. That was like it dropped in. That's the right answer. Like
Yeah.
there's a difference with like your mind when it's going in circles trying to figure something out versus when it just drops in without any previous thought attached. That's when it's intuition.
And I think that's too trusting the process as well. And I think especially when you become more experienced in this industry, you learn how it works for you. So I think that's a very powerful thing. I think a lot of people struggle with trusting themselves in that process. So I think that's fantastic advice. How was it different for you writing this? Because you've written like a gazillion romance books and then you've gone into a business mind frame as well. How did you feel a little bit more vulnerable putting yourself in this one?
I did. And I also, yeah, I had those like it was like moments where I was like, everyone's going to know me after they read this book. Like literally, like everyone who reads this book will know me, I feel like, by the time they're done. And I had to be okay with that and be like, okay, well, to know me is to love me. And there's going to be people who don't, but I don't think, I feel like those people maybe wouldn't pick up the book, right? Like I feel like the ones who read the book are going to receive it unless they picked it up for the purpose of poking holes in it, which maybe someone will do, but I doubt it. Yeah. So, but I had to tell myself, like, to know me is to love me. It's okay, and it's okay that everyone's going to know every story that I have, or, all of that.
Yeah, because it's kind of scary going off into this new direction in your career as well. Like, I'm super excited for you. I've been excited for you like since last year. So I'm so pumped that we got here so quickly as well. And even watching your branding grow and change over that time as well, because now you have kind of not necessarily split off in two paths, but this is a little bit different to your romance genres as well. So, how have you found the marketing and the promotion of this side and keeping it, I guess,
It's
balanced in a way?
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to mark, because like you say, like I know one way already, and
Mm.
this way is not the same. So like I'm watching the pre-orders and they're like 100, 111. I'm like, oh my God, it's so different from, what
Yeah,
I'm used to. And I don't, and I tried to get a book pre-order and no one's interested, like the ways I know aren't really the right avenues, right? So that's where I just have to be like, just trust the universe will get it out there, and like that if I get a hit, I'll follow it. But yeah, I mean, even Facebook ads didn't really do much. And it may just be like a much smaller market, and I need to like be prepared for that too.
yeah,
Um, I also had this moment where I was like, oh, I think like, because I hired a writing coach to help me with this because nonfiction was like a new thing for me. I worked with the fabulous Lisa Daly. Um, and then I actually like narrated it myself. So I had to hire a sound. I went to like I hired out a sound studio, which let me tell you, I have so much more respect for narrators now. It is really grueling work. like you're like taking a sip and going, like swishing it around. He's like, because he called it mouth noises. He's like, I'm picking up some mouth noises, just which I think is like you go like I
yeah,
don't know. It was grueling. Um, and so like I realized like I may not even recoup the money I have into this, but it's not about like to me, this was more of like an investment in myself.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like this getting this message out is feels like life purpose work.
yeah. I
So I don't care if it doesn't, recoup its expenses. It's fine.
Yeah. But I think too, like, so as I said, like, I'm super pumped about reading this. And I think, as you said, the right people are going to be drawn to it. And I could be wrong. And like, I'm a little bit out there too. But from an outside perspective, I feel like this is just the beginning for you. And I'm so excited that this is your first step. And I imagine it's brought you in already so many amazing opportunities and connections and networking into an industry that you perhaps immersed yourself in prior as a reader. And now you are one of those authors. You are a part of a completely different sort of community as well, I imagine. Um,
It
but
is, I mean, the abundance mindset group. I mean, I think that's why, when I asked Denise Duffield Thomas to write if she would blurb the book, she was like, sure, because people who are in abundance mindset don't function from lack, right? So they're kind, they're generous, they're, like, and it was so when I was at RWA, there was someone who was doing subscription boxes for authors, and they're called Abundant Author. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. So I was like, hey, I love this. And of course, her response is, oh my God, I'd love to work with you, like, because people in the abundance mindset have abundance mindsets,
yeah,
so fun. Like
I,
I love this. I love like you called it a platform, but I love the platform. I love the people in it. It's just really wonderful.
and it gives you something new to play with as well. As you said, with your romance genre, you do know what works now. You're very, very successful. You know what works in that genre. So it's kind of, I imagine, fresh and challenging in its own way, sort of going down this. As you said, you weren't sure what to expect, and you're still learning when it comes to like pre-orders and stuff. And I think that's kind of exciting as well for you. Over the last year, you've been running courses in your group as well. So, what does that look like, and what does that involve, and how do people get involved with it?
So there's a month, we have a monthly call for we call it the, again, the names change. Monthly membership, the author abundance monthly membership. Sorry. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just $39 to join, and you can cancel at any time. So it's not like a commitment or anything. And then once you've joined, you have access to the whole library of the last year's worth of calls, which is kind of cool. So we put together like a quick start guide, and then within there are like meditations for clearing blocks, or for calling in sales, or for hitting the USA Today list, or for, and we have my co-author Lisa Vino does like hypnosis script. I've done a few tapping ones. So there's a lot of tools for people to use to stay high vibey, I guess.
Yeah. I love that this is so all around, like just being an author. Like that still blows my mind because it's unique. Like I don't know any other authors who do this, and I have read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I love self-help. I love new age. I do EFT tapping. I do meditations, hypnosis, all that stuff. And it's a personal. So I love that these worlds have merged. I love that you've been able to, and it's a very bold move as well. I can understand why you might have been apprehensive about doing it because it's a little bit scary because it really does put yourself out there. What do you think the most challenging part of this process has been then? Have you had any challenges balancing obviously going off on this and then also balancing your everyday romance writing, or how does that look for you now?
Yes. And I'm one of those people who like forgets that time and space exists. So like like right now, like the book launches on October 11th. And then I'm opening up a course, like an 8-week course that starts December 1st. But then I thought that would also be a good time at the same time to like set up a Shopify store and publish 3 books and like romance novels. So like I have to like, so I think that this month's call for the monthly membership, we're going to talk about like space and how you can like, because I do believe time and space doesn't have to exist. I think I do believe we can fold and bend time. But also sometimes I panic and I'm like going to melt down over not enough hours. And like, I want to be like Hermione, where I have like a time watch that I can like reset and have like a second day to work through all the tasks that I didn't get to do today. So
Busy.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it all, like I'm one of those people where like I don't believe in saying no to things that you're supposed to do. So
Yeah.
just figure it out, I guess. Yeah.
No, that's one thing that I've always respected about you. You're a very hard worker as well. When you go all in, you go all in, which is amazing. Then what would you say? Because it's only now when we're recording, when this comes out, the book's now released, which is awesome. But this is about 5, 6 days until the release. So how are you feeling?
A little panicked. Yeah. Like a little, like like just yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, like the next week, like it comes out in 1 week, So I have to put together, and because I'm putting together a lot of fun things because it is my first book and in this arena. And so I have like pre-order bonuses that I still need to record, like, because I was going to do a recording as one of them. And I set up like, we're going to do a champagne launch party Zoom. So I had to like put that together. I need to still buy some champagne, like all of those things. Like, but I'm sure it'll all come together. And
Yeah.
and then I'm also like, I'm just better about giving myself grace and being like, okay, well, if the PDF download isn't ready on the day of release, like no one's going to be mad at me if I send it out 2 days later.
No.
Except for me. And so I can choose not to be mad at me. Right. So I can just give myself like some grace with it all.
One thing I do want to talk a little bit about is, and I think it's one of the most common ones, and we're briefly talking about it before, but is self-doubt and feeling that unworthiness. What would your top tip be for those who are now aware that they're doubting themselves far too much and they think that they're holding themselves back? What would your advice be?
Yeah. So my book is the 7 steps to manifesting abundance. And step 1 is clearing those blocks. So I have some free writing exercises for like identifying your core wounds, because these are the like what, and once you've drilled down and you figure out, so like once I figured out that my core wounds were like, I'm not worthy, I don't fit in, then I just notice where it shows up everywhere in my life. And I can just go, oh, that's that stupid lie that I've been believing. I can fire that energy. I don't need it to be present. It doesn't help me. Um, and so like as soon as you get clear on it, it's that thing where like your awareness does most of the clearing, right? Because then as soon as you're aware of it, you can choose. I don't need that to run my life anymore.
Yeah. I guess it's
Um,
just the same story we're telling ourselves and unconsciously as well.
yeah. So if you dig into like, okay, why am I afraid to do this? And then go under like, what's under that? What's under that? Like, what's the core belief that's
Yeah.
um, limiting me? And it's usually just, yeah, something ridiculous. Like I'm not worthy. I don't belong,
Yeah.
just something I'm not ready. Sometimes I use that one. I'm not ready.
What have been some of the resources and books and audiobooks or groups that have really helped you up until this point that you would recommend people read? Like I know we mentioned Denise before. I love
Yeah,
her work. So who
me
would
too.
be some of the other places that you would recommend for people to?
Yeah, definitely Denise Duffield Thomas. And for me particularly, like I love the Get Rich Lucky Bitch, but the Chillpreneur, because I tend to work too hard, like I could reread that 5 times and get something every time about like just simplifying, taking it like how like can I make just as much money with less work? Um, because I tend to be like, oh no, you have to work harder, and that's the only way you can get ahead. And so that one was really fruitful for me. I like Jen Sincero's book, You're a Badass at Making Money.
Oh.
She's got some great stories. Again, it's like I like when people tell the stories because then you remember their stories. So like one of her stories, like it's just about like the amounts of money she was talking about. Like she borrowed $80,000 to do a course that was going to teach her how to make her course. And so she had to like make enough to like pay that back and like how terrifying that must be. And like, but just to hear like just that large amount of money. And she totally made it back. Like it was like, it kind of like blows you out of your own, like, oh, I'm in this little world where I can't spend $8 on, whatever it is. And so then you're like, she spent 80,000 on, like, it's kind of a cool, just blows you
Yeah.
out of a small box. And then I also like The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. I think she's got some great stories in there too that were really stuck with me. Yeah, those are my top ones, I think, for money mindset stuff.
What do you think then? Usually I would say, what is the most surprising thing you found in the industry? But I want to know more specifically the most surprising thing you found in the last year going on this new avenue of nonfiction. What have you been most surprised about?
Well, that whole thing of like, if you really want to learn something, teach it. So that it's, like I'm going to Nink and I'm melting down. And I was like, no, you literally wrote the book on this. Like, you know how to, you know how to clear this. Like, you don't need to melt down and think you're not worthy. Like, and so my own life has gotten easier by sharing this information, because I had to clarify it for myself to write it down. Right. And so I got super clear on like steps to clear it and what, where I'm functioning from, where I want to be functioning from. And how to use energy to really create the life I desire.
And I love too that, as you said, you mentioned you already have after this planned in December, you already have the course happening. This is like a nice little empire you're building at the moment. You have direction, you have goals for it. It's not like you've just published this book because you're like, oh, I feel like I need to share this and get it out. You building a massive community here. And like I said, it's very unique because I haven't seen any other authors mesh these worlds together, which is surprising too, because there's so many of us that try to practice this as well. So I'm so happy that you've been bold enough to do it. I'm so excited for it. Like, words cannot describe how pumped I am for you.
Yay.
Most importantly, though, how are you going to celebrate when you have that big release? How are we celebrating?
So I love that question because that is totally one of the things is like celebrate all your wins so that you can bring in more of the joy. Um, so I like on the day of release, I'm doing a champagne Zoom. So just where anyone's invited to come, they can ask questions, but I'll give away some prizes and just to like celebrate the release. And then Lee, my co-author, is doing a book club on Friday. So that's the Champagne Zoom is a Tuesday. And then she's doing a book club where she's going to like, I don't know if I should go or not. I'm like, is that awkward if the author's there? But she's she's gonna share
Lurk in
highlights
the
from the
back.
book. I know. What do you think? Do I not go?
I mean, I would want to go.
But it seems like she might be like, and now I'm sharing about Renee's book, but Renee's here. So maybe I don't go because maybe that's awkward.
Maybe like, just go with somebody else. I don't know. I
Yes.
would be too curious.
Keep the camera off and like have the yeah, I agree. That's great.
Going as like a little ninja in the background because I would be too curious for that. My
Right.
goodness. It's so amazing that you and Lee have been working together for years though. A lot of your co-writing um has been together as well. So it's amazing how still intertwined, even when you're going down a different genre and avenue, how supportive and involved she is as well.
It's so great to have a friend who's also into manifesting an abundance mindset. So like right from the beginning, like one of the stories I tell is like I had just released a book and I was worried that everyone was going to think it was too short because it was like the book one was like 50,000 words and this one I just wanted to like get it out fast and so it was only 35,000 words. And so like it comes out and sure enough the first reviews are like too short. So I call her up. I'm like, "Well, everyone thinks my book is too short. I was so afraid of that." She's like, "You manifested that." And I was like, "Oh yeah." Like she's not like a friend like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That's done. Don't worry." She was like, "Dude, you did that. Now just clear it." And so I did. And then all the rest of the reviews were good. So it's nice to have someone who will kind of like hold your feet to the fire when like when you have a partner in it,
Yeah.
when one of you dips, the other can
Yeah.
float, which is great. And also like with this book, I originally pitched her, I was like, let's co-write this book together. And then like we didn't get very far down the road before like I was all tense about it. Like I had my own ideas that were totally different. And she was so graceful about being like, I think this is your own book. And so again, that's where I say like people who have an abundance mindset, they don't come from lack. They don't freak out on you. They don't, like she knows that she'll write her own books and they'll be fabulous. And, so it's a gift, really.
One of my favorite questions to ask. What is the goal? What is the dream that you were chasing? And I'm curious as to whether that's changed in the last year. I'm assuming it has because this was one of your goals. So
Yeah.
what's the big dream now?
I would love to just expand the coaching side of it. So like I got Teachable and I'm setting up my course on there and I'd like to start running that. I don't know how often I would run like live ones, maybe once a year. Um, maybe more than that. I'm not sure. It's an 8-week course. So however that goes. And then I see myself like speaking, even though like I am a really nervous public speaker, but I love sharing the message. So like I would love to do more speaking and hopefully I would get less nervous as it goes on. We can only hope. Um, and then on the romance author side, like my dream I'm trying to pull in is the getting my book on screen somehow, like TV or, and I mean I think all of us have that dream, but so that's what I'm pulling for.
Yeah, I'm so excited. But I think both of those things are going to happen. And I'm really excited for the one, I'm excited to get my audiobook, but I want it now. But two,
Yay.
I'm really excited for that course. I can't wait to sign up because I do think that this is definitely going to help a lot of authors, especially as you said, you're going to attract the right authors who need it. And I just think it's really going to catapult a lot of their careers as well. And I think it's just in this day and age as well, it reminds us just in general to be more mindful as well because there's just so much happening. And even now, sitting down with you, I realized this last week I've been in a bit of a like, oh, so much is happening. And then you forget just to sit and go, actually, I need to simplify it and remind myself that everything is okay. And I think this is a really strong message that you're sending out. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the course, I mean, I don't know because it hasn't happened yet, but I'm hoping that just that immersion of like everyone coming to because there's more when everyone comes together, like the energy of the group,
Yeah.
it's like exponential, right? So I'm hoping that whole just like people coming together, and even if it's only 10 people, I know it's going to be amazing. And then just meeting every week. I think just like that. So it's more of a total immersion. I think that will change lives. I think you're right.
Yeah. I'm a little bit curious too. I want to talk a little bit about pivoting actually, because we've mentioned a couple times with branding. You said that you've had to change your names for groups and titles and things like that a couple of times. So, how have you found? Because I know some people can get frustrated with having to change things so many times, and now you've obviously had to unify it. So, how have you found switching up and pivoting so much? How have you found that process?
Yeah, it's a great question because again, it's a place where I just have to give myself grace. So like even like the cover of this book has changed, and I knew like I wanted to get the pre-order up like 6 months ago, and like partly just to hold my feet to the fire to finishing it and have a date. Um and so I knew the cover at the time wasn't going to be the final cover, but I was like, it's going up for now. And then I changed it. And like you said, I changed because then I couldn't get the URL that matched. So I wanted to get a URL that matched the Facebook group from my website. So it's author abundant. Yeah. Authorabundance.com. Um, and so again, I just have to be like go with the flow. Like there's no mistakes. That was where I was 6 months ago. This is where I am now. And I'm reserving the right to change that cover again, tomorrow if I and I just told my designer that like I paid him for both. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I know this is a total redesign. I'm gonna pay you again. New cover again. Just like fully acknowledging that I might be a little crazy maker right now. And then that's okay too. Like that's part of the process.
Absolutely. I love the blurb too. I forgot to mention that as well when I was reading over the blurb. Obviously, getting excited because I have pre-ordered my copy, but I'm super, super excited for it too. And you have some amazing testimonials too. Some of
I
the authors on there,
know.
I was like, go Renee, go Renee.
I love it so much. It's amazing. And yeah, and it's so fun. And the case studies in there when people share their stuff, like I just love all the magic that's happened for people and because those are the stories you remember when you're trying to get your book bub. You think about how, oh, she got 3 in a week just by loving on her book. And then,
I
so
think,
I just think they're all just really inspirational.
yeah. And one thing that I love about that Facebook group that you have too is that it is a safe place for people to share those. I mean, I think I've shared a couple of times in there just success stories and how people have gone about doing this, or even if the individual struggling with something and everyone hops on and they're like, try this, do this, you can do this. It's a really beautiful group to be a part of.
I know there's so much wisdom in there. Like sometimes I don't see it for a couple days, and I'm reading through. And I'm like, well, they got it covered with all their wonderful advice. Like I don't even need to pop on because there's so much wisdom.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, I asked this a year ago and I'm going to ask it again now. I'm curious if anything has changed in your whole writing career. What has been your greatest challenge so far and what has been your greatest success?
I think my greatest challenge is the comparisonitis thing.
Mhm.
And, especially early in my career where I was just really trying to make it, I was just always looking at where are they, um, and feeling less than.
Yeah.
And I would love to say I'm over it, but like now I'm trying to figure out TikTok videos and I'm doing the same thing. Like, oh, they've got it figured out. They've got, instead of just being with my own energy, figuring out what videos I want to post, I'm trying to copy someone else, and then I'm comparing my views with their views and feeling less than. So
Yeah.
that just like there's a constant clearing of that comparisonitis thing. And
Yeah.
knowing that like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, and that I'm inviting in viral videos. And so at some point because I'm inviting it and opening to receive it and not trying to over control it, it's gonna happen.
And what would you say your greatest success has been?
I think it's just this last year of feeling kinder to myself, like just really noticing when it's my wounds talking or my blocks and clearing them and not choosing to criticize myself and judge myself and
Mm.
feel less than,
Mm.
and to acknowledge that actually like I'm okay.
Mm.
I have got great gifts to share, and like I'm not perfect but perfect in my imperfections.
Yeah. I love that. I do want to mention too, in your group, you actually have talking about TikTok and viral. You do have a meditation on there as well. I noticed that, which is really cool. So I plan on doing that soon. And I am curious as well whether you feel like social media sometimes, as you said, comparisonitis, I think I got it right, because we're so accessible to social media and we can so easily see what other authors are doing and how well and fantastic everyone was doing, it's a lot more accessible. So, have you ever encouraged for yourself or for other people to have a social media detox, so to speak? Or do you think it's so important for our career that we're so immersed in it? I know it's a tricky question, so
It is tricky. And I
curious.
definitely think like you have to follow your own guidance on it. But there's definitely times where I just like go in to do my thing and then come right back out, because it's not a, it can just be a distractor. It's distracting you from creating the life you're trying to create. And then B, if it gets you down, then definitely you don't want to be there, right? And I feel that way just about the news. Like sometimes I'm like, I want to listen to NPR, and then I'm so empathic that like 10 minutes into it, I'm crying over some story. And I was like, this is actually not contributing to my day. So what is a contribution? So like asking, because sometimes you might be guided to get onto Facebook and post about your book or interact with someone. Maybe there's going to be some interaction where like it's a networking opportunity, or you see something that you needed to know. So like following and trusting your own gut on that, like knowing when to get on, knowing when to get off.
So to recap, what's coming out? What do we need to be on the lookout for? And where do we need to be?
All right. So Right to Riches comes out October 11th everywhere, including Audible. Yay. And the Right to Riches course comes out December 1st. And I will be posting about that in my Facebook group if you're not on that. I have an author affirmation. You can sign up to get an author affirmation sent to your inbox once a week. So if you like to sign up for that, that's also, you can find info about that in the Facebook group. And I think that's it. Yeah. And the reason I started, so at the course, I was like, oh, should we do like New Year? But I just thought people, like sometimes like December can be that time of, it can be kind of fruitful for planning your new year. So even though December is a really busy time for people, I thought that actually like starting then would contribute people's career. So like, it's a 8-week course, and it starts December 1st. So it'll take you into the new year. So hopefully we'll be like clearing the blocks during the end of the year, out with the old and then in with the new.
I like that. And I 100% agree. I think that's good. And of course, your newsletter, I am subscribed to that. I love the newsletters that you send through. So definitely make sure you sign up to that. You always have bits of wisdom coming through. And it's so exciting too to receive all the emails and seeing the lead up as well for the release and what's happening and all the bonuses that you can get. So definitely sign up to that. I have had so much fun and I am beyond excited for your release. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows, we might get you on in another year and see where you're at, because as I said, I feel like this is just one step to an amazing new journey and path for you, and I'm so excited to see what comes of it.
Awesome.
All right. Bye guys.